Good afternoon. Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon. I am with the Clinton. I proudly serve as the Mississippi State Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I bring you greetings on behalf of the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition, a coalition of more than 40 organizations and everyday people who show up when Mississippi communities are under threat. And make no mistake, friends, tonight we are under threat. The very lifeblood of our survival, our water, is under siege. And so here's what you need to know. On March 30th, 2026, the Mississippi Legislature passed House Bill 1677. Now, what is House Bill 1677? House Bill 1677 was a law that is designed to strip the city of Jackson of its control over its own water and wastewater system, and hand that power and that authority to an unelected, unaccountable water board authority. One where the citizens of Jackson hold the minority influence, yet the majority of the cost. I'm talking about a community of people who pay more than 89% of the cost for the water and the water infrastructure. Now let that sink in. I'm plainly saying that the people who pay the most will have the least power, influence, and say. But see, here's what the legislature did not count on. Jackson would fight back.
That's right.
Today, the city of Jackson filed an emergency injunction in federal court to stop the takeover of Jackson's water. Y'all, that people power, that people pressure, when people in power and pressure meet, policy has to change. Today, tonight, you all have shown up. You've shown up not only for your water, but you've shown up for your families and your communities, and this city's right to govern itself. Y'all, that is no small thing. The thing that we're talking about is the fight for democracy. And democracy is nothing more than action. Democracy is nothing more than you taking a stand and fighting for the things that you believe in. It is about fighting for your freedom and your liberation and for your justice. And so tonight matters. Tonight signifies that your voice matters. Say, my voice matters.
My voice matters.
My voice matters.
My voice matters.
I will keep defending it.
I will keep defending it.
I will keep protecting it.
I will keep protecting it.
I will keep fighting for it.
I will keep fighting for it.
And it will continue to be heard.
It will continue to be heard.
Now, to the man of this house, the one who has graciously invited us into this place of community, this place of healing, hope, and prosperity, join me in inviting greetings and the prayer and the blessing of the food for the man of this house, Reverend Henry.
Amen. We do welcome each and every one of you. We do say hello and good evening to each and every one of you. The first thing we would like to say is we welcome you to Central United Methodist Church, a church in the heart of the city, with Christ and the city in our heart. Amen. And we share with you what's going on. So I believe food is being brought to the table, which keeps us from having to go around to receive it ourselves. But one other thing of housekeeping, women, if you have to excuse and relieve yourself and go down the hall, third door to the right is the women's bathroom, or you can go around the hall to where the chair is seen. Men, it's a little farther height. So don't wait till the last minute. Amen. You have to go down the hall to the left, and the second door to the left is the men's restroom. And if this is an emergency, you ask one of those persons who are members of Central United Methodist Church, and we'll point you to a closer bathroom. But that's where they are, down the hall, women to the right, men all the way around the corner to the left. Pray with us. Oh God, we come again knowing that we are in your time, your space, and your atmosphere. And God, we thank you for us being here and you allowing us to just have just a little dominion. We thank you, God, for the strength you've given us, oh God. We thank you for how strong we are when you pull us together. We thank you, God, for pulling us together for such a time as this and using us for this time, oh God, so the world may know, so the city may know, so the state may know that we are concerned about ourselves and about others. So, God, use this time that people may know that we come together to listen, learn, and go out and be fruitful in our action. Oh, God, be with us, name by name and need by need. God, we lift up our city leaders, oh God. We lift them up as high as we can, knowing that you can change the heart and the mind, oh God. But while you are changing those hearts and minds, you use us to propel others into that direction. So right now, oh God, we thank you for this time. And God, we know that a long time ago, water was meant to be used for good. All of us was nurtured in the water of the womb. And we say thank you, sir. Water was used to bring life and bring gardens to life and bring flowers to life. Oh God, we ask you now to be with us as we discuss what's going on, to not allow water to be used for harm. We ask you, God, now to use us so that when we leave this place, we will be informed. Not just informed, but we'll be in love. So God, we not only ask you to be with us here, but be with our bodies as we receive the food that has been so wonderfully prepared. Bless the hands that lay before it, oh God, and bless the hands and bodies that will receive it. Let our bodies receive the proper nutrients from the food, as our soul receive the proper nutrients from your Holy Spirit. Be with us all while we're here. Keep us safe while we're here, and when we return to our home. And we'll know, oh God, that we've been chosen by you for such a time as this. Be with us in our going out and our coming in from this time forward, forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Henry, and to the members of the distinguished staff of this body. We want to thank you for your hospitality, and we want to thank each and every last one of you, Jacksonians, for being here tonight to make sure that your voices are heard. We do have some elected officials in the room. If you're an elected official, please stand to be recognized. Thank you for being here to hear from the people of Jackson. We do have several who have expressed their support for community in this manner, including Councilwoman Tina Clay, and then we have some others who are planning to join us later in this evening. Next, we want to bring to the mic one of our leading voices, one of our coalition members, Ms. Danielle Holmes. Danielle, if you're here, Danielle's going to give you all an overview of our purpose, as well as give us some additional background and state of play when it comes to the plight and the fight for Jackson Ward.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Danielle Holmes. I am the Executive Director of the Mississippi Impact Coalition. I am a senior social justice organizer with Repairs of the Breach, doing work with the Poor People's Campaign. Before I go any further, I'm going to ask that our coalition members, Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition members, please stand. If you're in the room, please stand, because I'm going somewhere with this, and it's very important that those here see who's in the room. It's plenty of us. It ain't just a few in this fight. Thank you, all you can see. Y'all keep those pictures, faces in your mind. I am a Jackson resident. I am a grandmother in the city, and I am one of the intervener plaintiffs in the federal consent decree that governs this very water system we are here to talk about tonight. That means that I'm not just an activist standing at the microphone. I have a legal standing in this fight. And I'm telling you tonight that this fight is not over. It is just beginning. This fight did not start in 2026. This fight did not start with HB 1677. This fight started years ago when the state of Mississippi made a deliberate choice to disinvest from the city of Jackson. Year after year, the state took tax dollars generated in the city and did not return them proportionately to the people who produced them. They starved the city of the resources it needed to maintain its own infrastructure and then stood back and pointed fingers when the infrastructure failed. Then in 2022, when our water system collapsed completely, the federal government stepped in and appointed an interim manager. And instead of using that moment to empower Jackson residents to rebuild what was theirs, the state saw an opportunity. They saw federal money coming into the city, and they saw what they believed to be a weakened local government, and they moved. Senator David Parker from Olive Branch, a man who does not represent one single resident in the city of Jackson, started pushing bills to hand control of Jackson's water to a state-dominated board. And our Hinds County delegation and our city council members then said quiet. This wouldn't happen. That bill died. So they came back the next session. And that session, Representative Chris Bell authored the bill. And he's one of the Hinds County, part of the Hinds County delegation. And that bill passed, which allowed for this bill that was passed this year, HB 1667. It opened a wide door for this bill to come in and to be passed in legislation. And so I say all of that because we can't just talk about what the state is doing and what others are doing with your own Hinds County delegation, who refused, by the way, to sit with any of their constituents and discuss an asset that belongs to the constituents. They refuse to have a hearing or a meeting. And they themselves don't even know what the bill means. We gotta keep everything in perspective here. Then in I said that about Chris Bell, so let me get on to Shandy Yates. Then this past session, Representative Shandy Yates, who's the Hinds County delegation, introduced House Bill 1677. Representative Clay Mansell from Clinton, who has no invested interest in the city of Jackson, co-authored that very same bill. Governor Tate Reeves signed it into law on April the 8th of this year. And not one of them had a single community meeting in Jackson at a time when working people could show up and speak before they did. Now, I need to be clear about something right now, because people keep talking about the hearing at the Capitol that was had. That was a hearing for legislators to talk amongst themselves. Because Mississippi doesn't have a process where community members can actually be heard by their state legislators at the state capitol. That doesn't exist for Mississippi. It is always their intent to keep us silent. The only real community hearing was the one the city council called at the city hall on February the 16th. And even there, Ward 5 Councilman Bernie Martin stood up and said out loud, and he was representing the Hinds County delegation, "How dare you bring something to us without going to the public first? They're the ones paying the bill." This is what a city council member said. Because even he knew that Jackson residents had been locked out of a decision that would determine the future of the city for the next generation. They told you this water authority is necessary to get a better bond rate so Jackson can borrow money to fix the system. That sounds reasonable on the surface, but let me tell you what they left out. Moody's and S&P, the two biggest credit rating agencies in the country, did not just give Jackson a bad rating. They pulled their ratings entirely in 2023 and 2024. They walked away from the system completely. Before they left, the rating was already a junk grade. So now they're asking you to trust a brand new authority to go out and borrow hundreds of millions of dollars against a system that Wall Street already abandoned. And here's the part that should make every person in this room furious. The state of Mississippi, the same state taking control of your water, wrote into that law that it will not back one single dollar of those funds. Not $1. They will not be held accountable for Jackson's debt. The state wants governance, they don't want the rest. They will not sit at the head of the table and eat the meal. No, they will sit at the head of the table and eat the meal, and when the bill comes, they're going to hand it to the residents of Jackson. The bonds will be backed by your water bills. Your monthly payment is a calamity. That is why rates are already going up, and why they will keep going up. The law requires a rate study every 2 years, and if 2 consecutive studies recommend an increase, the board is legally required to raise your rates. This is not a possibility, this is a mandate. And over 90 million of their debt that Jackson is already carrying right now, that Jackson is already carrying comes from the 2013 Siemens contract. So let's get down to, again, I asked the question, how many here, because your mayor has already started appointing individuals to this board. And we're here because of the equity and for those who are being appointed that doesn't have Jacksonians' best interests at heart. Now, out of all of the coalition members standing here that's in this room tonight, not one of them was thought of to be on this board. Not one of them. And they have more knowledge than the mayor, than the city council member, and anybody else who has been appointed, even by the governor. These coalition members have been in the fight. They've sat with experts. We've been in the courtrooms. We've been on the streets. We've even been down at the construction site and can tell you how the pipes look. Running underground. We've done the work. Yet they were not considered. Not one of the coalition members, and it's a ton of organizations on that flight. And then we're here because Byron and Richland residents, water bills are anywhere from 10 to 26 to 36, $40. While Jackson residents are burdened with higher water bills, and it has been okay with your mayor and some of the city council members. This is a problem. There's no equity here. And when the rates go up, because they will go up, because this is what water board authorities do, and this is also another form of way to push black residents out of this city so that the white flight can come back in and reclaim what they once abandoned. And so I say to the city council member tonight, and to the elected officials, you don't get to come in and vote in favor of bills that's detriment to the residents and don't think you're going to be held accountable. This is not about city councilman courtesy, mayor courtesy, or Hinds County delegation courtesy. This is about the courtesy of the residents of Jackson, and we want to be respected like the residents of Jackson. Going along with the mayor, even when the mayor is wrong, will not be tolerated. This is why we're organizing to get those 30,000 people. Because if we don't beat you there, we're going to beat you at the polls the next time the election comes around.
Danielle, someone say people. Someone say people. Someone say people. Someone say power. Let me hear you say power. Let me hear you say power. Let me tell you something. The great Frank Figures said something to me one time, and I will never forget it. He said, he said, a disorganized people can elect a tyrant, but an organized people can stop a tyrant. And so I don't think I paraphrased that, but you did. And it's that wisdom, it's that type of wisdom that makes tonight so important, so significant. And so before we enter into this next phase of the program, we're in community, right? Someone say community. Someone say community. I'm a Baptist preacher's daughter. Somebody say community. Okay, very good. So next up we have Miss Catherine. Catherine is going to bring to us Catherine Robinson, who's the program director at One Voice. Cat's going to come up and give us some community agreements because the next part of our program is really, really important. This is a space, this is a public hearing. And because it is a public hearing, we want to hear from the people. So at the back end of the table there in the back, there are 2 sign-up sheets. If you have something you want to say, we want you to go ahead and write your name on the sign-in sheet. It's important, y'all, because we're going to keep some order. We're going to get a couple of voices in the room to speak about your experiences with your water here in Jackson. Before we do that, though, we got to have some agreements, okay? Something of those agreements. Once we get past the opening part of opening comments, we're going to then transition into breakout groups because we want you to know your neighbors, know the experiences that they are experiencing across the wards and why this fight is so important. Brooke, did I miss anything? And Brooke Floyd, who is our distinguished leader and convener, she's going to walk us through that breakout period because it's important now that we do things decent in order. Before we do that, y'all, it's really important that we understand what we get to do. So come on up, okay?
Thank you. And again, I'm Catherine Robinson. I am the program director at One Voice. And again, we just want to welcome you to the Jackson People Assembly. As a member and a supporter of Jackson community, I agree to make some conscious commitment to honor the following agreements. There are agreements on each and everyone's table in the middle. If you can, please look over those agreements. You do not have to read them out loud, but just read them as I go through. Respect the rights of others to hold opinions and beliefs that differ from your own. We can agree to disagree. Practice intentional listening. Let your comments, requests for clarification, critique, and assessment reflect that you have paid attention. Step up and step back. Share responsibility. If you have a lot to say, try to hold back. If you are hesitant to speak, look for opportunities to contribute to discussion. Of course, we're all here to learn and take on different opportunities that's what's going on in the different wards. Recognize that we all are still here learning, but we're willing to change your perspective and make space for others to do the same. Create a safe space for sharing. Keep personal stories that people share personal. Always be guided by and offer contributions that are rooted and come from our desire to improve our beloved community of Jackson, and collective gain is our goal. So these are the community agreements, but again, we want everybody to know that we're all here, we're still learning about how we got to where we are today. So please make sure that you're listening and that you also let others have their time to say their opinions. And please make sure everybody take ownership and responsibility and make sure that y'all listen. Thank you, and please enjoy.
Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everyone. My name is Brooke Floyd. I'm the Director of Programs and Community-Led Governance Initiatives at People's Advocacy Institute. I also help to facilitate this magnificent group of individuals, which is the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. And so many of you have heard about our work with the water. This group is over 30 plus organizations strong. We also rapidly respond to crises. Winter storm, we were driving up and down the highway to the Delta in North Mississippi, trying to make sure folks had food and water and blankets, generators, hot hands, coats. And so we are water people, but we are just rapidly responding people, right? When community needs help, we show up. When the tornadoes hit, when the strong winds hit, when hurricanes hit, when floods hit, We show up because we recognize that our community is only as strong as the community that helps them, right? We are the community and we are here for each other. And so I wanted to make that distinction because I want to make sure that you know that yes, we show up for water because it is a crisis, but we show up for all of the crises. And we help each other because that's what people do, that's what community does. And so I'm coming today so you all, or I'm here right now so you all will know how we're going to work our breakouts. Because I know when we talked about having this water meeting, I got about 50 calls within the first 5 minutes after it was announced because everybody had something to say about the water in Jackson, Mississippi. And everybody has a story, right? I have my own story. I bought my house 20 years ago, I have some waters, right? And I'm sure you all do too. Whether it is through the cleanliness, or the bills, or the new proposed water rates, or you here because you're mad about the proposed water board authority, we all have a story. And we want to make sure, because this is a public hearing, and in public hearings, your voices get heard. We want to make sure everyone's voice gets heard, and we want to make sure we are capturing the data. Because that's what it is. Now, some of you are professors, some of you are teachers, right? You know in the community, you're like, well, I don't care about that, I just want to tell my story. It is important for us to know what people are dealing with in our community. And all these people here with these Mississippi Rapid Response Teachers on have been going out and logging this information and knocking on doors and talking to people and asking folks in Jackson, Mississippi, what have they been dealing with around their water. And we've been doing this since 2022. And now people are upset about this, and so we are here again to find out what you are dealing with. And so we have a survey that's going to be at your table for you to fill out. It's going to ask you questions. If you need assistance, there will be someone from the Rapid Response Coalition that will help you to answer them or for clarification. But we also recognize the importance of being in community. We're from the South. Who are you? What street did you grow up on? Who are your parents and them? We don't want to talk to you unless you know something about you. So while you're sitting at these tables, right, and enjoying the good food that Sugars has provided, please, before you begin to write, let's say our name, what neighborhood we live in, and then our facilitator is going to give us a direction. We're going to have the water survey. It looks just like this, so you won't think I'm giving you something foreign. We're passing them out right now. You do not have to fill out every part of it if you don't want to. But there are some great questions on there. Some of you are going to be able to fill out every single line on every single question, and some of you may only have a response for one or two. And then there are those of you that may, and I know someone had already spoken to me about speaking. If you would like to speak, and we will have to limit you to 2 minutes, but we have space for a few folks if they would like to speak to what they're going through. Or just the concerns that they have around the water board authority. And I will say this. I know that we heard about the injunction that has happened. That does not mean that this is over. I want to make that very clear, and then I'll be quiet because I can talk about it. That does not mean this is over, and what that really means in my organizer brain is this is just the beginning. Again. And so, you are all sitting in a round table. If you're sitting by yourself, I would love for you to join another table so you can talk with the folks at those tables. Introduce yourself. We're Mississippians. We like to speak and say hey. And then we're going to do 15 minutes of this. Of writing our questions and our answers. Somebody needs Since over here we have pens, we have more surveys, and then we have facilitators that can answer any questions. And so, any coalition members, I know I see y'all filling it out too, that's great, but also can y'all help to post if they have any questions? We have plenty of pens. And so I'm gonna set the, okay, so I have Mr. Archie. Then I have Otto, and then I have Tara. I'm gonna set the timer for each person at 2 minutes. And then, immediately following that, we will begin our 15-minute of filling out our surveys and getting to know each other. All right?
Good evening. Archie, I am a community activist, civil rights activist, as well as a political activist. I just want you to understand one thing, and the reason that this is going down, you have to pay attention to the history. And the history is, they started with the airport, a takeover. CCID came into Jackson without your permission, the citizens of Jackson. And then they began to take over the criminal justice system here. JPD gave up its power to serve the people all over this entire city. Under this administration, the land around the airport is perhaps gone. Now it's the water takeover. When the mine is properly distanced and directed to a clear-cut objective, it cannot be defeated. And I want the citizens of Jackson to understand one thing. Now is the time for you to get on the battlefield, to challenge the state, and to say no to the state, that you are tired of being sick and tired of what they're doing to the taxpayers of this city, whether you're an elected official or not. And I don't see very many elected officials in the House. And we're going to charge them with that when it's come time to vote for the right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, sir. We see, because I'm going to go to, we're going to meet, we already on the battlefield. Yes.
Tara.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Otto. I'm an educator with Jackson Public Schools, union member, Jackson Farish Teacher 4402. Today, I'm here as a coordinating committee member of the Southern Labor Youth Movement. I just wanted to push that Jackson State students are also dealing with not only water issues, but housing issues, by the way. 2,400 students who currently do not have housing for the next school year. The administration there is seeing them to run around. Also, they're having the same water issues that most of us are having. I have images, videos of brown, sewage, poop-looking water. Okay? That's what they're dealing with over there. I just want to push that this, what's happening right now with the water system in general, is also happening to our students, and their fight really does need to be pushed as well. Today, or yesterday actually, one of the dorms ran out of power. And guess what? The students were fined for trying to go back into their dorms to get basic things for women. Dealing with their cycles. They were fined $250 to $300 because they, quote, missed the curfew. So these are the things that they're dealing with in Jackson State. right now. So I'm just going to push that to show that these fights are interconnected. So,
Thank you. Yeah, Ty, isn't that Ty? You need y'all come with the mic. Don't run from me next.
I apologize if you don't mind, I can't see. Just so I can see people. But good evening, thank you all for giving me 2 minutes to speak. It's good to see those of you all that know. My name is Tarek Abdul-Tawwab. Some of you all may know me and the young man KP from the hit radio show Making Make Sense Jackson. Shout out to all of my people out there. I appreciate that. Shout out to all of my people that came, all the people that came from the show that we just finished at 5 o'clock and came in. That's community, that's power, and that's what we do together. First off, realize that you're in control. It's the same thing I talked to all about the show, right? Realize how this started. This started with a mayoral table of 20 people up on the stage at Dual Hall that all agreed we'll bring this water system back to Jackson. Our mayor became mayor, he then said who wants to go half on the water system. Mayor wants house public partner, private partnership. The state said they don't want any part of that, we want the whole thing. And then came with the water authority bill. We were then told that the water authority bill was the best thing for us, it would take the $200 million in debt, and we would have majority ownership. That didn't come true. In the midst of that, while our leaders are down shaking their butts in parades and throwing candy off the back of our cars dressed as leprechauns, the deadline to stop another $20 million from coming out of our pockets taxes. At this point, we have to assume it's either weaponized incompetence or our city council mayors just don't like black people. Kanye West said. That's what we got to assume by their actions. We have a racist, borderline racist councilman who told a police chief, you're too overqualified and charming to get that money. Now, I don't know if you know civil rights here in Mississippi, but that's something they used when Negroes had the nerve to go to Chicago and get education and try to bring it back here and thought they wanted a job. And they would let them know you're too overqualified to work in the field, you're too underqualified to work over here, so you're going to start with it. Now, bring that back to where we are right now. You have a chance to push your city council to do, at the last moment, the best thing for the city. The Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition was there when there was nobody standing up for the city. When Judge Wingate called them racist. Can you imagine that? When all they asked for was for transparency so customers didn't receive the treatment you all didn't receive. No one listened. Judge Wingate pushed them to the side. We're now here at the final moment. You have a choice to make. You know, any of these people in suits and mistaken suits for nuisance for neckties, don't let them lead you down the wrong path and make you go against something that's in your best interest. You force that city council to say no to that, whatever other little games they want to play, if it works, it works. Do not let them get removed from the grass that you have on them. Finally, you can hold them accountable. Finally, you're making them all show up. Look at the room around you. How many people in assembly did they see? How many people in assembly did they not come to? Look at that back door. Each and every one of them have shown up today because they're scared of you voting them out. And you better not let them out of there.
It almost feels like Sunday afternoon here. Behind me. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Good evening, folks. So, I have just 2 things I want to say. I actually had a whole list, but I cut it down to 2 things. The first is that the mayor has now named 4 people he wants to sit on this board. Board comes to fruition, I don't know, but we have these 4 names. And I have very little information about them. I tried to look for them on the web, found very little. We have a little window of time because our council members, the city council, has yet to approve these names. And my one desire in this regard, at the very, very least, these people live in the city of Jackson and experience the water and sewage issues that we have. And there must be people that live in the suburbs and come back. So I urge you sometime tonight or tomorrow, contact the city council member and say to them, look, find out where these people live and make sure if you're going to approve them, that they live in Jackson. Okay, that's item 1. Item 2, I just thought of a few minutes ago, there was a gentleman who got up and talked about what's going on at Jackson State. And, you know, my heart really goes out to Jackson State and this whole water crisis. had to send their students home when the crisis happened in order to 22, 23, and they shut down operations. And I don't know how students got to their classes. I mean, it's just, I was a professor for 20 years. So I just think the whole situation is totally ridiculous. And then we had a scheme to have a backup supply of water, which as it turned out didn't meet health standards and didn't get appropriate advice. So it's just chaos. The city failed them. The city totally failed them in providing good water. And you know, the two big medical centers, I don't know about Baptist, but University of Mississippi Medical Center where I work, and St. Dominic's, thank you. St. Dominic's, that's everyone knows what happens from. St. Dominic's both have their own water supply, so you don't have to rely on Jackson water. And that's like a huge amount of water that could be coming, that the city could be supplying to them. And I don't know why they stopped using it, but I understand why they continue not to use it. And we have to have a reliable water system. And you know, I honestly don't care if Jackson controls the water or not. I want clean water. That's what I'm at.
So we got one last person before we go into the.
Hold on. Yes, so we have Ms. Hill, and then we have Mr. White, and
Oh, we got.
Ms. Shawn.
Okay.
Yes, so we have the 2-minute cutoff, everyone, because at 7 o'clock, we have to finish our share out and go into our breakouts, because we do have updates on the legal cases, and everyone needs to hear that, because what happens in these meetings, we do all the talk, but if you do not get the actual correct information, you go back in your community and share the misinformation, right? So you have to hear the correct information. So Ms. Hill is next.
Right.
There we go.
And just let me just say right quick, one is that there are chairs for people in the back. There are chairs. Plenty of you know, get this one. This one. I'm gonna get you in a minute. Just give me a second. So there are plenty of chairs. Please come on in off the back and have a seat. And then the second thing I just want to make sure people understand, and we'll get into this more, is it does matter who runs the water. It does matter. And what do you know? But there it is.
Thank you, Danielle, for having this meeting, because it's needed. I'm Priscilla Teal, an educator. I ran for the United States Senator. Now I will be the state director of the National Association of Black Evangelists, and this is the new organization that's coming to the state of Mississippi. But I want to address some issues. Back in 2014, the city of Jackson began a 1% sales tax. Each year in the city of Jackson, we collected $15 million each year since 2014. To date, 2026, there is $195 million that should have been collected from the city of Jackson. And the reason why this money was funded is because it was to deal with the critical needs within the city of Jackson, our roads, our bridges, and the water structure. Well, today, I made a public request with the city of Jackson to give me information of how this money was used. As of today, Ward 1 has received $22 million for their infrastructure. Now, if you look in the city of Jackson at Ward 7, Ward 1, all these areas are the Northeast Jackson, Belhaven community, Fondren, the district, and look at our community. That money was not set aside for selected neighborhoods. That money was for the entire city of Jackson. Now, what I recommend for Danielle and the rest of you with the signatures that you all have gathered, you use those signatures because you all, this is discrimination of how these funds that have been collected for the city, not for Northeast Jackson, not for Belhaven, not just for Farish, but for the entire city of Jackson. We need to do something, and we can actually file a petition to have that money and the documents looked at. The second part, I am a plaintiff of the water lawsuit here in the city of Jackson. What I was told by my attorney since Donald Trump has come into office, my water suit and the rest of us that are on their water suit will be pushed to the back because they're not dealing with civil rights issues right now. That is horrible. That is horrible, and something needs to be done. And the only way that we can do something to fix it is we have to challenge it with the law. We have to get lawyers. We have to fight back. We have to challenge the system. Now, we can advocate because I'm a strong advocate, and I'm going to have lawyers right beside you if you need them. But we have to fight back with attorneys. Thank you.
And I know Debbie's going to say something, but I just want to remind folks that in just a little bit, we are going to be hearing from 2 legal teams that have been on this because we are about that by any means necessary.
Okay, so, the 1% sales tax, so a little clarification. The citizens voted overwhelmingly to have that 1% sales tax. Remember, everybody came out, we were so excited, yes, we're gonna get our water fixed, right? Okay, so the reason all that money has not been spent to fix your roads is because a state board was created. And the governor, at that time, said that a board needed to be created, right? A lot of people don't know this. I've heard so many wild rumors. I've heard that the city took the money and ran with it. The city didn't take that money and ran with it, y'all. They don't have to. The board decides, right? And then there were little clauses that were put in how they get to spend that money. One of them is that money can only be spent in the event of a new build of a road. So the plumbing and the pipes only get fixed if a new road is being built. So you are worried about why it's only being spent in Ward 1 or Ward 2, not Ward 2, yeah, I guess it's Ward 7 or whatever ward you live in, because they have a whole bunch of new development going on. So there are things that a lot of folks don't know that have happened, and so that there's not clarity, right? And so, no, that's wrong. It's wrong. And that board does not represent the city. I can tell you that right now. Because it does not look like this room. But we have to make sure that we pay attention when this stuff happens. Now, Governor Phil Bryant pushed that board down the city at that time. And made them hand it over. And so now we don't even have control over the things that we voted for. Now, that is one of the reasons why this board that they are trying to push down our throats. And if you think they won't do it again, they will. Now, this is the exact same thing. I'm telling you that. Now, we can sit and sugarcoat and do all the things and say what you want, but I'm telling you, we saw it before. Because I know you have not seen how many million was it? 195. Okay. I haven't seen $195 million worth of any repairs. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so we ain't seen it. So now, we have one more person to speak, but I want to declare 2 more. Mr. White and Deshaun.
Right,
And then
I'm right here.
So Mr. White, go ahead, and then Deshaun.
Okay, so but real quick, I just want Danielle closed my hotel to make sure that everybody understood, as folks said earlier, that the coalition is a collective, it's not just one person. So you want to make sure.
Oh, yes.
There we go. Mr. White, you don't want to, okay, thank you. You see him, you refuse the mic, you should get a hand for that. Get a hand.
Make sure he's still right around his stuff.
Hey, y'all. Hey, just wanted to quickly mention that a few of us are part of another coalition called the Zero Out Jackson program. Because our city and state has been so heartless to disabled and elderly folks, a few of our coalition members have united to help senior citizens restore their water service. We're almost up to about $20,000 now, but need some more help. If you need help, or interested in learning more about these services, contact us at zerooutjackson, that's zerooutjxn@gmail.com, and the number is 601-691-2578. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shambi. We have a lot of folks in our city that have a lot, I mean, the high bills are just, they're heartbreaking. And people cannot come up with the amount of money that they're required to keep their water. You have, yes, you have a question.
Yes, what are they going to do about those people with the extremely high water bills, $10,000 and $15,000 water bills? We couldn't use that much water in our lifetime.
Okay, so.
What are they gonna do for people who have bills like that? And not, make them try to make them pay those bills? No way they owe them.
So you are, I had, extremely high water bills. I had 20,000, 15,000, I've had 8,000, and I've had a $30,000 water bill. And I did not have a leak on my property. So I suggest, as a resident of Jackson, Mississippi, that you go in person to an office and speak to someone. That's what I suggest as a resident of this city. And I do not want you to, because we recognize that there are a lot of folks in the city that have those leaks. That is one of the reasons why this right here, please fill this out if you have not done so. You are in at a table with other residents. Most of you have already filled it out. Turn to your neighbor at your table. Make sure you have spoken to them. You've asked them what neighborhood they're from. They may be near you. Ask them what has been their major issue. Or if they don't have any issue, ask them where they live. And then we're going to collect these in just a moment. The facilitator is going to come back and pick these up. You can place them in the middle of the table. Make sure your contact information is at the top, especially for folks with really high water bills, especially for folks that have water issues with pipes and plumbing, especially for folks that are having discolored water. All those issues, we need to be able to contact you. If you have any questions, you have any concerns about the survey, you can simply raise your hand. We have folks who will come over and help you. If anyone needs the survey, you can also raise your hand with anyone. You need a survey? Correct. Could I get another survey? Thank you. All right, just giving everyone a time check. We have 4 minutes, and then we'll come back to Homewood.
All right, everyone, I'd like to bring us back so we can finish out the evening and get our illustrious attorneys. Test our moment, and we have our public works council representatives going to speak to you, and then I will let you all go on time. If you don't, let people pass time. And I appreciate you all giving us your evening. And so we're having folks come around and collect your water surveys. And so I appreciate you all. We're collecting this information, like I said earlier, to share not only with the city, but also the court. My name specifically is listed as well as Danielle, along to represent community as interveners on the water case with the EPA, the DOJ, the Mississippi Department of Health, and the city. Yes. Hold on a second. Okay. So hold on a second. We'll wait till everybody gets back to their seats and focus so we can write it on out. And then, all right. Okay, so I just want to reiterate that we're going to use this to not only get the information back to the city, but also to the courts. Myself and Danielle are listed specifically as interveners with the state case, with the DOJ, the EPA, the city of Jackson, and the Mississippi Department of Health. And we will get an update on that case in just a moment. And we want to make sure that your information is given, and so everyone can have proof of what's going on. This isn't just, you're coming to a meeting to complain. These are your real life issues. Water should give life, right? And in our city, it hasn't for quite some time.
And now, not only is it taking that, it's taking a whole of our money at a time when things are becoming so expensive. And you have to have water to live. And so, if you can't afford to have water, and now the cost of living keeps rising. Water used to be one of the cheapest things, your cheapest bill, right? And now it's more expensive than a mortgage. But we can't live like that. And so I'm going to hand it over to Makani Timbo, who is going to give us the overview as our intervener. She is also on our case with our interveners, intervener status. And so we're going to get into our perspective as community members representing Jackson residents in this. And then we will have our update with the safe drinking water case from Corbin Felder, who will be with us. Thank you.
All right, family, we're gonna keep this brief, but I know a lot of people were curious about the legal cases, right? Because we know that the law is important. And we also, as organizers, we're also believers in, something that Malcolm X said, that we are going to win by any means necessary.
That's right.
Right? And so that means that we're gonna protest, we're going to get in the media, we're going to talk to our neighbors, and we're also going to go to court, right? We're going to go to the state house and do all the things, all the means. So we got involved in this case. So being an intervener is that you have a stake in the case, but you're not being sued or you're not a plaintiff. But it's like, well, what the case matters. So what we did, we were able to, with the support and with Center for Constitutional Rights, Forward Justice, ACLU Mississippi, National Resources Defense Council, I'm probably missing somebody. And so we got together and said, you know what? The state gets to be a plaintiff against the city on the water issues. Now I'm going to say that one more time. The state, that same entity that had been telling us we didn't need any money, that we could just not have water, and what was happening was the state would apply for federal dollars. And guess what data they use to get their money? You know they use dollars. Because they said, well, we have these problems and we need the money to fix these problems. But what's crazy is that they can take that money and they don't have to spend it on what they asked for. Because it's something called states' rights. So the money is able to come into the state, and then as long as they spend it on water infrastructure anywhere, it's considered okay. And so then we end up with a situation where money is not coming in, and you know what it's like. It's like broke economics. Y'all understand broke economics. Broke economics is you don't have enough money, so then you borrow money. You buy things on time, right? And you could have bought a couch for $200, but then you bought it on time, and by the time you finish paying for it, it's $1,000. So we had a broke, blank water system, right? And so then we said, we have to figure out something differently. Because the EPA, they're suing the city of Jackson when the money needs to come from the state and the federal government. And even when the money comes, we don't always get it. So some people may remember that the state made up a special rule for Jackson. It said that the money that came from the Biden administration had to go through another hoop. Right? Another hoop before we could get it. So then we look crazy. And then of course what happens when things break down in communities like ours, they don't look at the people who are choking off the money. They're focused on us. They say we messed up. We didn't manage it. So we thought it was important for us to get involved. We did not want to be bystanders. We wanted to be up in that court case. We wanted to hear what those folks are saying. We wanted to see what that judge was doing. And we wanted access to the documents, to the information, so that, and to have a legal team, and you'll hear from Corbin in a minute, to have the kind of legal team that could hold us down and have us really participate. Now I'm gonna tell you the truth, and I'm gonna pass the mic. It has not been easy. The judge has been very hard on us. He has even told our lawyers to sit down and shut up. It's been hard. So, you think the system's gonna work a certain way? And you already know it has not worked all the ways. But I do know this. Even with us having to deal with that kind of madness, it's still been important to be in the room and be in the documents. And I think some of you might have seen today that because all of us showed up, all of us made noise, that the city felt like they had to follow the injunction. Come on! That's you, right? So you're going to hear about two of the cases that our folks are involved with, and I'll just say this last thing is that part of what has happened for many of the folks who've been interveners, some folks have been targeted, people have tried to come for them in different ways, because, the thing they do, they try to isolate us, right? They try to say, well, you're not really community. You're just out here. But what you all have been proving coming out is that there's not just 5 people who care about this. There's not just a dozen people who care about it, but there are hundreds and thousands of people who care about it. And that's today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to Corbin Felder from the Center for Constitutional Rights. And I want you to know that they have been doing all this work pro bono, which means free.
Well, I'll stand for people to see me, but I get no salary, I work for a nonprofit. Hello. Oh, my apologies, man. My name is Corbin Felder. I'm an attorney. I live here in Jackson. I'm a Jackson Water customer, and I'm also an attorney for the Center for Constitutional Rights. We are a nonprofit civil rights organization, and we represent Poor People's Campaign and People's Advocacy Institute as interviewing plaintiffs in the Safe Drinking Water Act case. I'm just going to provide you all with some context of how we got to this point. So there's actually 2 consolidated cases in front of Judge Wingate, and Julie will talk about a third one. But there's the sewer case that's separate in this case, and then there is the water case based off of a federal piece of legislation, the Safe Drinking Water Act, and that is what Poor People's Campaign and People's Advocacy Institute retain my organization, as well as Forward Justice, the ACLU in Mississippi, and National Resources Defense Council to represent them as intervener plaintiffs. But just backing up to August 2022, when the actual water crisis happened and our water system failed. Shortly after that, the federal government, through the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, sued the city of Jackson. This is what's understood as an enforcement action. The Safe Drinking Water Act provides minimal standards for our drinking water and water that people will consume. So when the system failed, the federal government says, we're going to sue you to try to get the system in order. And shortly after that, the state of Mississippi joined, the Department of Health joined on the same side as the federal government. So you can imagine us as a way to talk about both sides of the V. So there's like the verses in the middle of the V. So you have the federal government, the Environmental Protection Agency, the state of Mississippi, Department of Health, and versus the city of Jackson. And then in 2023, PAI and Poor People's Campaign filed for a provision of the Safe Drinking Water Act to be interveners. The Safe Drinking Water Act allows for community organizations to intervene in these types of enforcement actions. The idea is that community organizations and community members should have a place in that litigation and should have a say. As the county has said, it's not been easy, and when you have entities like the city, the state government, and the federal government, it's sometimes very difficult to get a word in as community members. But we brought the lawsuit to try to get a word in. And let me actually back up, I didn't go totally chronologically, but when the lawsuit was initiated, what was called an interim stipulated order was entered. That was signed off by those first three parties, the state, the federal government, and the city of Jackson, in November of 2022. And what that did was it essentially allowed the court to run our water system via what's normally called a receiver, but it is now called an interim third-party manager. That's the name that the court made up. The way I'll explain the receiver here is Ted Henry in Jackson Water. So we also have a receiver in a different case out of the same courthouse. I'll just give you all an example. The Hines County Jail, as many of you all know, Raymond has had all these issues, and that was in front of Judge Reeves. And he appointed a receiver who was just called a receiver, and they took control of the jail, right? So the idea is when a public system is not doing what they're supposed to be doing or falls underneath the standards that they need to be meeting, the federal government can initiate a lawsuit against them to force the federal courts to take over and get them back up to speed, and then figure out a way to transition it back. And that was what was supposed to happen in the water case, where enter into an interim stipulated order, a temporary consent decree like that the court, working with the parties, is working to stabilize the system. What was unique here is that Judge Henry Wingate allowed for the receiver, the third-party manager, to privatize the system and create a private entity that we all pay money into, JXN Water or Jackson Water. And ever since then, our litigation has been stayed, so we've kind of been in a place in limbo where we get updates through the court. JXN Water has to provide certain updates, they have certain projects they have to do. And we've been going along that way for a while. And us as interveners, we file motions, we try to argue things, we try to put certain protections in place, such as making sure JXN Water follows public records laws, because the way interim stipulated order was written, they don't have to, and things like that. But we've been going at it, but this is the case of Safe Drinking Water Act in front of Judge Henry Wingate, Mississippi, that federal court, right by the Washington. That is what created JXN Water, Jackson Water, put that entity in place, and that's what we've been operating under since 2022. And this is also a case where the city just filed a motion for a preliminary injunction, which is just to try to stop HB 1677 from coming into place. I don't represent the city, so I'm not going to speak as to their claims in the litigation, but they are trying to stop that law from coming into effect and making sure that the water system in Jackson still stays in front of the federal court. The thing about this, and I'll say, and I'll stop talking, is that the city of Jackson still owns the assets. The city of Jackson still owns the 2 water plants, still owns all physical, tangible items that go within the water system. It's just being run right now by Connecticut and JXN Water through the court order. Once the court order ends, we're supposed to get to a place of a final consent amongst all the parties. Now we have 4 parties, including interveners. We should all be able to sign off on the final consent decree and have a say in what the future of the water system is between federal government, state government, city of Jackson, and intervener plaintiffs. Not sure what moves forward or how this is going to happen, but Friday, at 9:30 a.m. Judge Wingate called a hearing on this motion of the city file, around 3:40 p.m. It just came in around 6 o'clock. We got a notice that there's a hearing, this Friday at 9:30 on the city motion. So we'll see what happens, but, that's where we are in terms of the Safe Drinking Water Act piece around clean water, and we're presently just at the one of the court. Your lawyers often don't have good reading legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. And I encourage you all, show up at 9:30 a.m. on Friday to prepare the courthouse. Because one of the things that happens, or has happened with this case is it's often like 5 of us in that courtroom. And so one of the things that Wingate often brings up, Judge Wingate often brings up is where are the community members and what do they have to say about this? And so it's important for community to show up. And Julian? Oh, you are here. Okay.
Thank you. The Corbin is set the same, so the news doesn't really good English. My name is Julian Miller. I'm a senior supervising attorney at Southern Poverty Law Center in the Market Education and Litigation Practice Group. I'm actually on this case, so full transparency. I'm in the Education Practice Group. I was not initially on this case when it was filed last year, but my colleague at the time that the case left, and as a local attorney, I took over. So I've learned more about Jackson Water than I ever learned in my entire life. And so I'm grateful for being served, serve the community, which I had the privilege of working for a very long time. But just as a matter of background, the particular case we had, which is also under Judge Wingate, involves $38.5 million in ARPA funds, which is part of the total relief funds that were allocated to address infrastructure in municipalities in Mississippi, particularly the city of Jackson. So what ended up, I'm gonna try to not belabor this, the gist of it was when those COVID funds were allocated by the federal government, and of course the state will be responsible for administering those funds. What ended up happening was Jackson, unlike any of the other municipalities, local municipalities that applied for those funds to the state treasury, had to have a matching requirement. So again, they waived the matching requirement for all of the municipalities except Jackson. Jackson, in order for whatever funds they received, they would have to match. Now, the idea was the reason why the amount was $38.5 million because Jackson is supposed to receive, I think it's through the U.S. Department of the EPA, was supposed to receive like $38.5 million local funds. So that was counted as matching funds. Again, those were federal funds. The reality was Jackson did not have the money or resources to naturally receive those funds. And so the Southern Poverty Law Center last year filed a lawsuit challenging the statute that was passed in 2022, which determined how those funds would be administered, challenging that statute and challenging the action of the state, essentially saying this was a violation, it was unconstitutional, violation of 14th Amendment, it was racial discrimination because unlike any other municipality, Jackson had to provide matching funds in order to receive $34.5 million for its infrastructure. So this lawsuit was filed by SLC in August 2025. Since that time, the state treasury, against the state treasury, they filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit under 1256. And what that means is they're claiming that they did not meet the statute of previous statute of limitations, that the claimants within NAACP, my one colleague, Senator Lambright, and Dr. Glasser did not have standing to challenge the state of the lawsuit, and that was a violation of the 11th Amendment. And so, since that time, we filed a response explaining that no, we're well within the statute of limitations because the issue didn't arise until November of 2022, when it was determined that the state would put in place this matching requirement for Jackson City funds. Among other issues, so we have just gotten, when I got involved in the case in January and February, we were pushing to get an expedited hearing because here's the issue. And again, as I talk to all of them, I talk to us again, I'm very, very realistic.
The issue with this particular case is we have until January 1st, 2027. Per the law, by January 1st, 2027, those funds have not been allocated. They essentially go back to what the federal government district. So we have to try to resolve this case and get the funds out before that period of time. So I have been practicing law for 13 years, and I've never been under that of a deadline quickly. So since I first got involved up until this point, we've been trying to push Judge Wingate to give us a hearing. It took, I was telling you, it took like every week of reaching out to the court to do this, but finally we had a hearing set of motion dismissed on May 14th at 9:30 a.m. before the meeting. And so we will have the hearing on motion. What will happen is this hearing will be on the motion to dismiss, not the merits necessarily of the case, but on this 1236 motion, which is state trying to dismiss. If Judge Wingate rules for us and denies the motion, we'll still have to try to get what's called expedited discovery to try to wrap this up before January 1st, 2027. And at that hearing, my colleague Crystal McElroy, who is senior supervisor attorney in the Atlanta office, is phenomenal attorney. I'll be doing this hearing with. Where the biggest thing we're going to emphasize is we are on time. So whatever happens, being cognizant of that, we believe these issues have merit, we stand our case. We got to try to, wrap this up. And so how that's going to be decided procedurally by the judge, we're not necessarily sure at this point, but we'll know that can. But if he grants the motion to dismiss, then we'll have to get an expedited appeal for the U.S. Court of Appeals. Again, with the same issue around the timeline. And so what we are trying to do is figure out, because again, Judge Wingate has a brother, those who have obviously involved with Judge Wingate. He has to direct things out and not necessarily make decisions. And so we're not sure about, we know we got the hearing set, we're not sure about what his position is in the case. But our hope is that because he's been so intimately involved with Jackson Moore case, and because of the fact that these federal funds were obligated and should be used for Jackson Moore as a candidate, that seeing the situation, he would try to push it forward to some possible. That's kind of what we're trying to emphasize, that at the end of the day, all of these issues going on, Jackson needs those resources, and it's an advocate for that. The state has no other problem allowing other municipalities not to have to match what's the problem with the city of Jackson. Give me some part. If we have to thank the people argument, and it's questions like, I'm not understanding. And the state, again, realize those funds were used to municipalities, their foreign trustees, they should have for the community to no match. So, but there should be no issue with Jackson, especially since it's whatever happens, Jackson's either under the monitoring of federal government or under the regional moral. So it's all being monitored. I don't understand. And that's, and that's where we're going to kind of push, because Judge Wingate does one thing I'll give him. He will push charges up. He will push charges to like settle and try to resolve things. So that's kind of our strategy, what we're trying to push for. So yes, it is important to community shows that we need everybody. Again, May 14th, 9:30, courtroom 6A. Please, because we really want to emphasize, the community needs this, the community, and that we want to kind of get some resolution, get some hope to this situation, get funds that are already there for that purpose. So excited about this, so grateful to work with you. Hopefully, we'll have some good news on May 14th.
And it's a collective time? Okay, so we have two things coming up. This Friday at 9:30. This Friday is one hearing. May 1st, this Friday at 9:30. That is a status hearing that they just talked. And then on the 14th, we have another one at 9:30. Now, and they're both before Judge Wingate, so it's all 6A at the federal courthouse. Now we have Amar Gadat, who's going to speak to this new law that we're all here for, trying to push back on, and give us some community opportunities to push back.
Thank you, Brooke, and thank you everyone who has come out tonight to talk about this really important issue. My name is Amar Gadat. I am an attorney with the organization Fair Fight Action. I am a Jackson resident, and my focus in my career is voting rights. I do a lot of voting rights litigation, policy work, I've done a lot of redistricting stuff, and Fair Fight's focus is also voting and democracy. And you might be wondering, well, why is this guy talking about water? The reason is because, yes, this is about water, but this is also about democracy. This is an issue about every single person in here's political power. This is an issue about whether or not you get to make choices for yourself, for your family, your kids, your grandparents, anyone who lives with you here in Jackson, your community. That's what this is about. And so what we saw happen during this legislative session is HB 1677 passed. We've already mentioned that bill. We've already talked a little bit about it. I'm going to tell you a few things about HB 1677 that every single person in this room should know. Number one, HB 1677 sets up what's called the Jackson Metro Water Authority. And even though it has the word Jackson in the name, it is not controlled by Jackson. 9 members are on the board. 3 of those are appointed by Jackson city officials, appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the city council. 3 of them are appointed by the governor. 1 of them is appointed by the lieutenant governor, and then 2 are appointed, 1 by the city of Byron and 1 by the city of Bridgeland. And so that's 6 appointees on this Jackson Water Board that are not accountable to the people of Jackson. This is a democracy issue. So why does that matter? Why does it matter that the city of Jackson only has 3 appointees on this Jackson Water Board? The reason is because the Jackson Metro Water Authority controls your rates, but not if you live in Ridgeland, because HB 1677 lets Ridgeland control its own rates. And so it's interesting. It's interesting. So the Jackson Metro Water Authority controls Jackson's rates. It also controls whether or not bonds can be taken out. Debt can be taken out. And we've already talked about under the bill, who is accountable to that debt? Who is ultimately on the hook for that debt? It's the ratepayers in Jackson, who pay 90% of the system's revenue. Right? And so this is an issue about democracy. Why else does it matter that you only have 3 appointees on the board? The other reason is because there's a lease. So right now, HB 1677 says that this Metro Water Board will take control over Jackson's water system and wastewater system, but first, after the members of the board are appointed, first, the city of Jackson has to enter into a lease with the water board. And if you don't take anything else away from tonight, I want you to take this away. The lease is where you still have your power. The lease is where the city of Jackson still has its power. Because if the city of Jackson does not sign a lease with the Metro Water Board Authority, the Metro Water Board Authority can't do anything. If the Water Board Authority can't even enter onto the property of the water system, the water plants, how are they going to do anything? And so there is still an opportunity for the people of Jackson, for our elected officials, to take a stand and fight back. And that is what we have to do. We heard about the court cases, which are incredibly important, and the plaintiffs and the attorneys on those court cases have been fighting, but we cannot allow a judge to hold all of the control. Right? We should still show up to the court hearings, and we should do everything that we can to influence the judge to make the right decision, but we cannot count on a judge ultimately making the right decision. And so what can you all do? What can we do as a community in Jackson? Number one, tell your elected officials in Jackson, your city council members, your mayor, do not sign the lease. You might hear in the next several months this narrative that, well, we do have control, we do have leverage, we don't have leverage over this lease, and we can negotiate really good terms for Jackson. We can negotiate really good terms that still give us peak power in our hands. But let me ask you, when you only have 3 members on the board, when you can't control the rates, when you can't control the type of debt that's going to be taken out, even on the best terms of a lease, what do you really have? Nothing. This is an issue about democracy. And so, what you need to tell your elected officials here in Jackson, what we need to tell them collectively, do not sign the lease. Do not sign the lease. Do not sign the lease. That's what we need to be doing for the next few months as these city officials are considering whether or not to sign that lease. The other thing, the last thing I want to say, there's a petition. You might have already signed it. If you haven't, do not leave here before you sign it. There's a petition that we are circulating. We have to get 30,000 signatures on that petition. That will put the issue of signing the lease on the ballot. And then, we as residents of Jackson, as voters in Jackson, will be able to vote on whether or not the city should sign the lease. This is an issue about democracy. And so, before you leave here, these are the 2 things that I want you to take away with you. Number 1, contact your elected officials. Tell them right now. Tell me all in the room right now. Tell them right now. Do not sign the lease. Number 2, before you leave here, sign the petition. Sign the petition. And volunteer. There we go. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honor. I want to, you got to sign it. I want, before you leave here, make sure you sign the petition, guys. Also, to make sure that you stay up to date on all the information that's going on. There was a QR code on the back of this, so you can get information around volunteering, around getting the petition signed, but also if you want us to come and speak about the petition, if you want us to come to your church, if you want us to come to your barbershop, if you want us to come to your business, you can scan this QR code and fill out this form. And we can show up and do all the things. And then we're also going to have locations set up for folks to sign on. So you can look out for those 2. We have multiple organizations here. Our page, on our Facebook page is Jackson People's Assembly, SPLC, Mississippi is here. We have the Jackson NAACP. We have One Voice. We have Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable. I'm missing it. We have Mississippi Poor People's Campaign. We have MIC, which is Mississippi in Action. Did I say it? Mississippi Impact Coalition. Get my letter. Oh, you have to be a registered voter to sign. We have. Oh, I said People's Assembly instead of PM. Apologies. People's Advocacy Institute. I'm just trying to get all the names down so people can actually go to these folks' Facebook pages and you can find out where it will be, where you can sign up for things. We have, let's see, who else? I know it's another organization that I know. Mississippi for a Just World, they share everything, all the pages. Black Voters Matter. There are many organizations that are part of this, that you can look on their social media. They've been sharing all this information and they continue to share. And so not only will you find out about future events, but you'll also find out where you can sign on to the petition and where you can send others that are not here tonight to sign on. Yes, ma'am.
We make these meetings more publicized. So many people don't know about it.
Yes, ma'am, we can. Now with this one, I know at least 20 orgs shared this, as well as churches shared this, as well as, we went, and it was on the radio, and it was announced on TV with this one particularly. Now, yes, and so also, we do recognize that in Jackson, just like everywhere in the city, we have a digital divide. And so we also try to make sure we have paper copies, and that's why we did this. And so we also pass them out at events all over the city for the past, I guess, week and a half. The issue with this one was that we did this quick, right? So that is why, because the need arose. And so we rose to the occasion. Okay? And so right now, if my MRC folks can come up so we can close out. I'm sorry. Councilman Hartman, our Public Works council member, and I know you had to argue and fuss about this last week. You did, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for voicing your opinion. Thank you for letting your voice be heard. My stand has been clear from the very beginning. I am in favor of no state intervention or takeover, period. Some of the reasons, a lot of the reasons, and then one thing I'm going to add to it. First of all, we need to make sure that Judge Wingate get them to stabilize our system first. Before they just come in, raise our rates and walk away, it needs to be stabilized. Secondly, the debt. There's still a lot of questions on who's going to own that debt. In my mind, there's questions there. $200 million, what I'm hearing. Who's going to own that? And if it's the city of Jackson, then we need to realize that we need to control over it. The city of Richmond only gives us their crap. Wastewater. Okay? That's it. Not the drinking water. The city of Bowling gets more rates than what we pay. That's another issue that I think should be worked out. Also, why is it that we're the only municipality in the state for this to happen to? Why is it Jackson the only municipality? Whoever controls our water controls our destiny, controls our future. We need that. One of the options, the governor came out the other day, and I love the way he said it about the city of Jackson. Well, we can't be trusted to determine our own destiny, and we can't get this city right. Okay, so you said that, and we're not going to wade into all the racial implications of that statement, but we will say this. How about an option? How about let's do something different? How about if we have a Jackson Water Utility District with the same type requirements that the state is proposing, except these folks are appointed from Jackson. From Jackson, okay? He wants the best and brightest. He said, well, we can't trust the city to do it. Well, let's take it out of the hands of the city and put it into a Jackson authority with its own engineer, CPA, with its own lawyers, with its own professional folks running the treatment plant, except we call it, instead of the Metro Jackson, we just call it what it is, the Jackson Municipal Water Authority. Let's think about this thing for a minute. This is irreversible if we move ahead. Our children's children will have this thing out of their control. And one of my biggest fears is as we continue to raise that rate, we're going to raise the rate where we have to leave. Our most vulnerable communities, they're going to say, but we can't do this anymore. And I'm all protecting our heritage, protecting our history. Look, Ward 5, Jackson State, baby. We got living legends over there. But anyway, I heard you loud and clear, and I wanted to make sure that you hear me loud and clear. This water authority needs to stay in the city of Jackson.
Thank you, Councilman Harvey. Before folks, well, you're not gonna be able to leave, because these are your keys. I wanna make sure whoever keys, these are, and then, you know what, I see that, I just saw, okay. All right, and so, we wanted to do a nice little thing as we get ready to depart. Something that can give us, you know, a charge. So if you look on your table, you have a half sheet of paper. So you are going to look at the dark writing. We're in church, right? All right, so you look at the dark writing, and then we are going to say the other part, like they do in the church, right? Is that all right with y'all? So we close out and send us out on a good word before we do that, because I'm not going to speak after. I'm going to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you for sticking it out to the end. We had some great information shared. I love to see all your beautiful faces. I appreciate you being here. And so here we go. Are we ready? I think we are. So I'm going to add my thank you. And I'm going to ask you to give yourself a round of applause. So, you know, it's like we are in the we, right? And that's how we get coalition members. Come up and join us. Come on up. Yeah, come on up, man. MSJW is here. Beloved Community is here. Black Mothers Matter is here. LOC is here. One Voice. You got it. Bring your sheet of paper. I just see other ones. So I'm gonna start off, and then all these good people are gonna kick it off. You know, one of the nice things about being older is that everybody be like, you go first. All right. So we have done this before, and we talked about this. In 2022, when the water system failed, it was us. After years of neglect that we marched every 2 weeks or more on Mondays from Mountain Home Baptist Church to the governor's mansion. And some people remember we left dirty water bottles for the governor. And all these things. We even went to Washington, D.C. When the money came? We went to Washington, D.C. Remember, we went to Washington, D.C., and the Congressional Black Caucus said, we might have some money for y'all. So this little litany, and I think I'm one of many daughters of Baptist ministers over here, is kind of us going old school a little bit. So everybody got their little sheet of paper so that you can do your part? All right, and we also know that we're standing in this historic landmark. Can we clap it up for Central United? Up here, you know, we up here trying to make change, and this is the place, and we feel at home, and we thank everybody here for that. So with that, I turn it over to my beautiful comrades.
All right, y'all, so you have the slip of paper in front of you. We're going to each recite a leader portion, and after that, we want you to say, when we fight, we win. You got it? You ready? When the money came, they took the control away, but nevertheless we persisted.
We are here tonight together, saying hands off our water.
When we fight, we win. Declaring loudly, proudly, and boldly, we will not bow down.
We fight, we win.
There are times when hope feels hard. Then we remember our ancestors and how they held on to hope in each other. They taught us.
When we fight, we win.
Our ancestors, Fannie Lou Hamer said, when I liberate myself, I liberate others. If you don't speak out, ain't nobody gonna speak out for you. She showed us.
When we fight, we win.
Our ancestor, Margaret Walker, said, we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond.
When we fight, we win.
They may run us our race, but they will not run us out of town.
When we fight, we win.
God has not given us a spirit of fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear. We will not stand down.
When we fight, we win.
Tonight we stand unified and dignified in our resolve to remain what every city and every community deserves, public utilities for its own use.
When we fight, we win.
We do this work not because it's easy, not because we want any more than what we desire. This is our city. These are our resources. These are our rights. We will continue to show up. We will continue to be loud. We will continue to fight on. Our voices will be heard because
when we fight, we win. We have work to do, family. I said my name on. We are out educating our own children, City Hall, collecting the signatures, so we got the signatures. And we all different. We need to open up. Please, hear the volunteer. Don't please call your council member or your hotel. We gotta take no time to leave.
Thank you.